Welcome to Truth by Billie Beene Flash Update, November 12, 2025, 4 p.m. Some of the things we'll cover. A G2 or a G3 instead. And more information about Atlas, President Trump. Our allies, are they really friends of ours? And Sheinbaum and her relationship with cartels, could it lead to a coup in Mexico? So let's get started. So this afternoon, that third CME came in. According to Space Weather, NOAA reports that it did not come in as strong as NOAA had predicted, and it has been downgraded to a G2, G3 storm, which is still significant for the Earth because we just went through a G5 KP9 storm yesterday. So that's going on. And apparently many people were praying against this, and I believe God has answered our prayers. We'll have to see. And we have this from W77. New images of Atlas have been put out on the internet by Nordic Optical Telescope. This came out yesterday, which shows Atlas coming around the sun and putting out multiple plumes of energy. And it's believed by many this could be waste products coming off of an artificial object that still appears to be a cloaked object. So that's going on. And we have this from Real Raw News. Now, I put out in my last video that General Flynn had predicted terrorist attacks in the U.S. in the next 90 days unless many indictments came forth to take down the deep state players inside the U.S. So it appears that the U.S. military has been doing that this past week. 250 former DOJ attorneys have been arrested and are currently at Camp Blaze in Guam. Operation Clean Slate, put forth by the U.S. military, the FBI, and the U.S. Marshals. And many of the charges against these attorneys are treason, sedition, espionage regarding the J6 event and Russiagate. And many were arrested in the area of Washington, D.C. and Maryland. And we have this. The U.S. military has arrested a former SEAL Navy commander named Milton Iron Fist Sands, 58. He has been arrested by JAG plus Navy SEALs, and they have 2 recordings of Sands instructing Navy SEALs to continue and pursue DEI support and to actively work against and sabotage President Trump's efforts. Clearly a case of treason. And we have this. JAG has also arrested a former FBI supervisor, Sally Moyer. She's been charged with treason regarding Russiagate. And we have this from PROMETHEON Update. Now, President Trump, in the last 24 hours, has put out public posts or announcements stating that many of us think our allies are our friends, but putting forth the supposition that that may not be true. And this is regarding the UK and the government-controlled media platform BBC and the intel arm of the UK MI6, that's comparable to our CIA, which had edited a video by President Trump regarding J6 and Russiagate. President Trump now threatens to sue BBC for hundreds of millions of dollars, possibly up to $1 billion. And President Trump questions whether UK is actually an ally. And PROMETHEON Update puts out that MI5 in the UK, that's comparable to our FBI, is in panic since Kash Patel was put in charge of the US FBI because he is launching a massive investigation into Russiagate, which runs straight to London, the UK government, MI6, and put forth on their media platform BBC. And we have this. Also, in the last few days, we've heard that Russia had foiled an MI6 Ukraine, NATO, EU plot to steal a Russian MiG-31 armed with a Kinzhal and then bomb a NATO base in Romania and blame it on Russia. So that's where we stand with many so-called allies. And we have this. Sheinbaum. So President Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico, according to Hal Turner's intel, as soon as the Gerald Ford carrier strike group arrived in the Caribbean, Claudia Sheinbaum put out an urgent order to build a metal wall around Mexico's presidential palace. Intel is now coming out that Sheinbaum has been ordered by the cartels to use the Mexican military against the U.S. and to protect the cartels, and that President Sheinbaum had been advised that the U.S. would also strike the cartels in Mexico when the U.S. strikes the cartels in Venezuela, Bolivia, Colombia, and Cuba. And she was advised by an alleged ally of the U.S., Israel's intel arm, Mossad. So we see another break in ally support or actual good for the U.S. Israel advised Claudia Sheinbaum that the U.S. military, President Trump, was also going to hit the cartels in Mexico. So yesterday she began building this metal wall around her presidential palace. Now it's coming out from U.S. intel that the cartels have ordered Sheinbaum to use the Mexican military against the U.S. military to protect the cartels. And if Sheinbaum does not do this, then the cartels will bring about a coup and remove Sheinbaum not only from her position as president of Mexico, but most likely from living on Earth. And we have this. From Steve Coyle's aggregate site Remix, yes, in Ukraine. So the U.S. intel brought this out that an Ukraine oligarch, Tamir Mendich, has fled Ukraine and has stolen up to $100 million that was involved in money laundering, money from the U.S. sent to Ukraine. I would believe that Zelensky also got his cut of that money. So this concludes my flash. I love you, and I'll see you soon.